Yo, what is good, YouTube? It's your boy Leach back here with another reaction video. Make sure y'all hit that sub button, turn them noties on, and make sure y'all follow the socials on the screen to be much appreciated. I give thanks to the man above for another day. God bless. I love y'all, man. And yeah, let's get right into it. Breaking news out of Atlanta: Trae Young has been traded to the Washington Wizards from the Atlanta Hawks. Blockbuster trade. Let's get right into it.
The Washington Wizards in exchange for CJ
Ice
McCollum.
trade days are over in Atlanta.
Multiple reports. A four-time NBA All-Star, Young has been the face of the Hawks since he was drafted in 2018. He led Atlanta to 3 postseason trips, including a run to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021.
Yeah, Eastern Conference Finals.
Atlanta's moving in another direction, and Young gets a chance at a fresh start in DC. So from
my thing is, why would you want a fresh start in fucking DC, bro? The Wizards ain't gonna be good until like 2040, bro. Like, I'm not even trying to hate on the Washington Wizards, bro. They got a lot of young talent. But yeah, man, I don't know.
CBS Sports NBA writer Sam Quinn. Sam, first of all, big breaking news in the association. What's your general reaction to this trade?
I think it's appropriate for both teams. I think we've been heading in this direction for a little while. The Hawks 2-8 with Trae Young on the floor this season, above 500 without him. He just wasn't really a fit for this new version of their team that they're trying to build. They're much more athletic, leaning more into Jalen Johnson as kind of the franchise player. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a more defensive-oriented guard taking Trae Young's spot. It just seemed like they had decided we're not interested in paying max money for a guard that just doesn't defend, can't really play off of the ball, sort of a shaky shooter, especially in catch-and-shoot situations. Doesn't really take those high difficulty pull-up shots. That's just not a player that they really wanted. Whereas Washington, in the middle of this rebuild, just looked at Trae Young and said, you know what? We need a point guard. We need somebody who can help set our young guys up for easy looks. It's a short-term investment.
I feel like Trae Young will fit well in DC, bro. Like,
so I think they just said, you know what? We can get him basically for free.
Pick and roll to
Alexander
a guy who's once a face the franchise is on the move, but this move does give Atlanta some financial flexibility here. So, I mean, do you see them making another move now that to help out their young core?
One way or another, I think they're going to put this money to use relatively soon. They've been linked to Anthony Davis quite a bit. Getting Trae Young off of their books was going to be essential if they were going to trade for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, Anthony Davis, his name.
If they had both of those players, they were going to be in the tax for 8 or 9 players next year, let alone filling out the rest of the roster. Now you can get Anthony Davis and feel a little bit better about your books. You don't have to worry about Trae Young opting in, taking that player option, and making you a very expensive team next year. If it's not Anthony Davis, they've also set themselves up to potentially have around $30 million in cap space next summer. You could use that in any number of ways. Could you chase another center? Maybe if you feel better about Kristaps Porzingis' health, you re-sign him to a longer-term deal. Do you chase a replacement guard? Could you get Kobe White in that $20-25 million range and say, we're going to get 80 to 90% of the production that Trae Young brought, but we're going to do it at half the price? This opens up a lot
Alexander
of
Walker
building doors for Atlanta. As the Hawks stand right now, they don't have a
taller guard and he can
making more than $30 million next year. We're in a league where some teams have 2 guys making 50, 60. They're going to be able to build some pretty impressive depth. They're going to have a lot of options. I think this was a move they had to make to set up whatever the next era of Hawks basketball is going to be.
Right, and not entirely surprising. I mean, we've had conversations around this for, days, weeks, months, but Trae Young has made it clear that the Wizards were his preferred destination and got what he hoped
crazy,
for.
Bro.
So
your
now
preferred
that he's headed
destination
to DC,
is
what are your expectations for Trae with Washington?
Yeah, I think this is sort of a prove-it situation, right? He does have that player option for the offseason. Without too much league-wide interest, I think he'll pick it up. He'll make $49 million next year. And he now has a year and a half to prove to the Wizards, hey, I can be your point guard of the future. I can fit with the guys that you already have on the team. They have a lot of young, raw athletes, guys they picked at the top of the draft, guys like Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, who have a lot of potential, but they need somebody to create shots for them. I think those young guys could really benefit from Trae's playmaking.
Yeah, they definitely could. Trae Young's a really
good playmaker. The fact that they're getting him on this short-term deal, and we haven't heard any news about an extension, suggests to me that the Hawks are looking at this and saying, if nothing else, we're taking a flyer. We're not coming into this with the idea that we have to keep you long-term, but if you prove to us that you're the guy for our future, we'll extend you when that time comes. I don't think there was enough league-wide interest for Trae to say, oh, I'm going to be picky. I have to go to a contender. I have to go to this market. I think this was a chance for him to lock up a long-term job and prove I can be somebody's core centerpiece ball handler moving forward. The Wizards were his best chance of getting paid.
More now from
It's
Trae
kind of
Young's
surprising to me that you say there's not a lot of league-wide interest. I mean, this is just one of 3 players in NBA history to average over 25 points and 8 assists per game in his career. So maybe we'll see the resurgence of Ice Trae in DC. But when you look at the trade overall and what everyone got in exchange for it, how do you grade this trade, Sam?
Yeah, it's a B+ for Atlanta. I know Trae Young is an all-star, very, very talented player, but the league is moving away from this archetype, right? Guys who have to have the ball in their hands all the time, who are small, who are defensively deficient. We're seeing this around the league. Ja Morant not generating that much trade interest. LaMelo Ball when he came up as well. These kinds of point guards just aren't generating the interest that they used to. And the Hawks were trying to get ahead of this. They didn't want to risk going into next season with $50 million owed to a player that, frankly, we now know they didn't want.
Yeah,
so I think this was smart for them. I think getting Corey Kispert is a nice little addition here. Good shooter to have on a reasonable sub-mid level.
The thing is, they're going to have, a lot more money, so.
Contract. You're still going to have either that $30 million or so in cap space or the flexibility to make a trade during the season. They had clearly decided that this era had run its course. To do that and to get off of the contract without having to give up draft picks, as has been reported, to get a nice role player back on a good contract, I think they did pretty well here.
They did pretty well indeed. Trae Young headed to D.C., the Atlanta Hawks rebuilding around the young core Sam Quinn.
I'm excited to see what Trae Young looks like on the Wizards. It'll be fun to watch.
As we take a look at
trade
the trade details,
so the Hawks get
again,
CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert,
Trae Young in exchange for CJ McCollum and Corey
Damn, no
Kispert.
draft picks though? Wow. No draft picks though.
Long anticipated trade is underway. Breaking news from the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks have traded Trae Young to the Washington Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, according to multiple reports. A 4-time All-Star, Young has been the face of the Hawks since he was drafted in 2018. He led Atlanta to 3 postseason appearances, including a run to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021. But now, Atlanta is moving in another direction, and Young gets a chance at a fresh start.
What do y'all think in the comment section down below? Y'all think Trae should finish on the Wizards?
For more, I'm joined by CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez. John, this trade has been kind of percolating for a while now, but what's your general reaction?
My bad. Yeah, it has been percolating for a while, right? And at some point, the Atlanta Hawks looked around and went, it's been fun, Trae Young, but we're going to have to move on from you. And we really got an indication of that, Madeline, this offseason when they had an opportunity to extend Trae Young. He definitely wanted a contract extension. And the new front office led by Ansi Saleh, who's a really smart guy, they put together a group and they went, we'd rather not pay you. And that's really when the writing was on the wall that it was time for him to move on. This has been Jalen Johnson's team for a while. Casual NBA fans are starting to get clued into him. He's going to be an all-star this year. He's playing at an all-NBA caliber level. And they just decided that, they really can't move forward with Trae Young anymore. They're not a good defensive team in general. Madeline, they're just 16th. Well,
getting rid of Trae Young makes them a better
defensive team when Trae Young is out there. He's still a good passer. He's still a really good scorer, although inefficient.
Not to throw shade on Trae Young.
On the whole, just 17 and 21 this year, 10th in the East. They're only 2-8. He's only played 10 games this year. And so finally, we're looking around. This wasn't a huge market for Trae Young, but they finally found a taker in the Washington Wizards who were willing to say, okay, we'll bring him in. We'll kick the tires. He's got a player option at $48.9 million next year. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll go from there.
It's incredible to see how much Trae Young's star has fallen, though. I mean, again, early round draft pick in 2018, Ice Trae wreaking havoc in the association. One of just 3 players in NBA history to have career averages of 25 or more points and 8 or more assists. But
for him
John,
to
you
just
talked
get
about
traded
plenty
for
of times in the past how much better the Hawks have looked without Young on the floor. So now that they've made this change, what is next for this Atlanta franchise moving forward now that they've got increased financial flexibility and building around their young core?
Yeah, that financial flexibility is important in that young
just
core.
Look at the difference. With
I mentioned Jalen Johnson. It's his team. It's been his team, but this officially signals it. Then beyond that, you've got Dyson Daniels. They just brought in Nikhil Alexander-Walker from the Minnesota Timberwolves as a free agent, big free agent signing over the offseason. So they've got that nice young core, Yeke Okongwu as well, Zachary Risashe. They've got some nice pieces, but as you noted, by clearing him off the books, now you bring in CJ McCollum. He's on an expiring contract. They might end up rerouting him. The hot rumor has really been Anthony Davis. Could the Hawks lay their hands on Anthony
imagine
Davis?
the Hawks got AD. That would be
willing to move on from him. Now, previous general manager
And I'm pretty sure
with
the
Mavericks,
Warriors have been
Nico
out there
Harrison
for
wanted
AD
to see
too.
what would happen
Yeah,
with
that would just
Cooper
make me wanna
Flag,
throw up,
with
I ain't
Kyrie
gonna lie.
Irving, who's
That'd
expected
probably
back
make me hate
shortly
AD if he
from
went
an
to the
ACL
Warriors.
injury, and then Anthony Davis. But this rumor has just been sort of bubbling up to the surface about whether or not the Hawks might be able to snag him away and steal him from the Mavs. So we'll see. Keep an eye on that, because clearly Anse Soleil, the general manager for the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Hawks have designs on something else here, right? They clear Trae Young off the books. Now we'll see what else happens, because they're just barely clinging to that last play-in spot in the Eastern Conference, and I think they have designs on something a little bit better than that.
Yeah. Now, as this news breaks, it's hard not to notice the social media reaction to the surprisingly low asking price for a four-time NBA All-Star. Are you surprised with what it took to get this deal done?
At least draft picks in that.
Not really, because when you look around at the market, there wasn't much of one, right? The market was a lot of people speculating that, hey, maybe the Kings will jump on this, because the Kings tend to do pretty foolish things. They're already backcourt heavy. The Kings have thrown a lot of darts at the wall, and almost none of them have stuck.
I mean,
over the
the
years.
Hawks
And so
will
when all of a
love
sudden
Corey
the Kings have
Kispert, though,
identified
bro.
you
He's actually
as a potential
he's
landing
nice,
spot,
bro.
then you know that things have fallen pretty far. Yes, he did make several All-Star games in the past. He's only made one third-team All-NBA. He's 27 years old, and as I said, there's not a lot of market for a lead guard who doesn't play defense. If you're picking out one position in the NBA to say what's the deepest, it would be lead guard. They're everywhere. The league is lousy with them. And so you really have to be something special for a team to trade for you and then give up draft compensation. Initially, Madeline, when this rumor percolated about the Washington Wizards being the landing spot for Trae Young, there was rumors that the Atlanta Hawks would have to attach draft pick compensation just for the Wizards to take his salary, because he still has $48.9 million on the books next year on a player option. Now, they didn't have to do that ultimately, but yes, when you end up as the Wizards are your last destination and even the Kings don't want you, your star has really fallen.
Yeah.
You know, had a chance
That's
to
crazy.
reboot
The
it,
fucking
right? And
Kings
Trae
ain't
Young
want
joins
him.
a young core in Washington. Less than 2 years remaining on his
Kings like,
contract.
nah, I'm good on
Is this a
Trae Young.
long-term destination
We don't want
for
that.
him,
We
or
don't
is
want that
this
bitch
a
boy Ice
short-term
Trae.
show me what you're working with the Wizards?
Yeah, I think it's that. It's a little bit of an audition.
you-
I think
for
if you're
y'all,
the
if you
Wizards, you
don't
go,
know,
okay,
I'm a
we've got
Cavs
this
fan,
young
so I
core.
really
We've got
don't like
Alex
Trae Young,
Sarr
but
and Keyshawn George
respect
and
him, though.
Bilal Coulibaly and a whole bunch
Even
of
though I
the
just
other
disrespected the
Champagny.
shit out
Let's
of
see
him.
what we've got, right? They've just been collecting these young pieces who haven't
Obviously,
really
the
amounted to
Wizards,
much.
5-23.
And so now
Passing
they
games
bring
were
in
5-3.
Trae Young, and he's a bona fide superstar.
Still rebuilding.
Star at least, right? Somebody that you could at least sell tickets around. So I think if you're the Wizards, you want to be of two
they
minds.
definitely
One,
gonna sell
you don't
tickets
wanna
now.
give
They
up
got
that
Ice
top-end
Trae.
protected pick that you owe to the New York Knicks. You definitely want to hold on to that. So watch out for all of a sudden, maybe if they start playing better. They have been playing better recently, although they lost tonight to the Philadelphia 76ers, but they don't want to give up that pick. So if they do start playing better, you might see like a shutdown situation for Trae Young. But I definitely think it's an audition for him, where he's probably going to pick up that $48.9 million player option next year.
Nah,
And
hopefully
in the
Trae
interim,
ball
they
out,
see
though,
if they're the right fit
DC.
for him and he's the right fit for them. And if so, maybe they come to a deal. If not, he'll be moving on.
I think one thing we should all do is circle February 24th on our calendars, because that's when Trae Young and the Wizards will face the Atlanta Hawks next.
February 24th.
John Gonzalez, thanks so much for the
And
insight.
get back for Trae Young.
Trae.
But that's going to do it for this reaction. Trae Young traded to the Washington Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do y'all think about this trade? It's just crazy. Trae Young really wanted to get traded to the Washington Wizards. But, he got what he wanted. We'll see if he can make the most out of it in DC. But yeah, make sure y'all follow the socials on the screen. We much appreciated. I love y'all, and I'm out. Peace.